Hi everyone, welcome back to Queen G's Recipes, and today we are making a fall staple. We are making homemade pie crust. Now this here is a double crust pie pastry, so it means that you can make a 9-inch pie. You will have the base and the top crust, like for example an apple pie, and you can also use this recipe for two just separate pies, like two pumpkin pies, whatever you prefer. You can make hand pies, you can make mini pies. This recipe is wonderful, so easy. Let's make it. I'm going to be using my food processor for the dough because I find it so much easier, but if you want to do it by hand, just make sure that you use a pastry blender and a bowl and it'll all work out in the end. Just follow the steps I'm going to show you, and in the end, it'll all work out. So now the first thing we are going to add into our food processor is our flour. Now we will add in some sugar, some salt. We're going to place our lid on top. And we're going to pulse 3 or 4 times. That's perfect. Now we're going to add in our butter. Now you want to make sure that your butter is very cold from the fridge, so just remove it from the fridge when you're ready to make your dough. And you want to make sure that it is cubed into small pieces, because that is very important so that we end up with a nice flaky crust and there's butter all throughout. So you want to make sure you follow these important steps. Now we are going to place our lid back on our food processor. And now you want to pulse this a few times until you have kind of like coarse crumbs and you notice that there are specks of butter all throughout the flour. That's what we are aiming for right now. So now we will pulse until we get to that consistency. If you notice, it looks like coarse crumbs, almost like a breadcrumb mixture here. This is what we are looking for right now. So I pulsed mine 8 times. Now we will add in our vinegar, just drizzle it on top. You can also use freshly squeezed lemon juice. Place the lid back on, and we are going to pulse a few times. As you can see, our mixture is becoming a little heavier and it's clumping up a bit. Now we're going to add in some ice cold water. I placed my bowl of water into the freezer for 10 minutes, but you can use just some water and add some ice cubes and that will work out too. So I'm going to add in 6 tablespoons of ice cold water. This should do it. And now we are going to process this mixture until our dough comes together. I'll show you what it looks like once we get there. This is perfect. Our dough came together perfectly, as you can see. So 6 tablespoons is just the right amount. Now we are going to flour our counter surface. Now we bring our dough together. You don't want to knead your dough, you just want to bring it together. Now we cut our dough in half. We have formed 2 discs here, and now we are ready to wrap them up. I'm going to take some plastic wrap, and I'm going to wrap each one individually. Now you want to make sure that they aren't exposed to any air, that they are very well covered. If you need to add another extra piece, then just do so, just to ensure it is well covered. Now we're going to place these into the fridge for at least 30 minutes. I like to give it about 30 to 45 minutes, and then you are ready to use your dough. So once it's been refrigerated, you just want to remove it, flour your counter, roll it out, the whole process, and then you are ready to make a pie. My pie crust was in the fridge for 45 minutes, and now I have already placed some flour on my countertop here. I have my rolling pin. We are ready to go. If you're making a pie, you want to have the pie plate ready, but if you're going to be making some hand pies or some mini pies, then you can just work with the dough and do what you have to do, and it'll be wonderful. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little flour on top and on my rolling pin, and we are going to carefully and gently roll it out, and then keep turning it every time you roll it. I just like to make sure I always add a little bit of flour under so it doesn't stick. And you want to roll this out to about 11 inches round. So an 11-inch round circle. This looks great. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my dough onto my rolling pin. Now make sure you already have your pie plate ready. I have mine here beside me. And just keep rolling it until you have it like this. Okay, just like that. Now take your pie dough here, bring in your pie plate, and just carefully roll it out. Now gently just fix it. And try not to tear your crust. Just pull it on the top and gently press it down to the base. You can crimp your edges any way that you like, any design that you prefer. You can even use a fork, and just make sure that you cut the excess around. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm just going to do a very simple and basic print here on the edges that I've been doing for years. Nothing fancy, but it turns out great every single time. So I'm going to cut around here, but I'm just going to cut while it's folded over the edge. You don't want to cut it too short or else you won't be able to make any design. If you use a scissor, it'll probably make your life a lot easier. So that is just a little tip. But I just used a knife today. Now what I like to do is just place my fingers like this and just bring the edge in between, just like that. Just make sure that you don't mess with your pie. Don't make too much pressure, just like that. And here we have our pie. As I mentioned, it will be the base and the top of a pie. And this is so wonderful. It is so forgiving. It's foolproof. It's very easy to make. And just keep in mind that when you make the base crust, you want to roll out your dough to an 11-inch circle. And when you make the top crust, you want to roll it out to a 10-inch circle. And that is it. This is all the information you need, all the important tips. And I hope you give this a try and that this will be your family favorite recipe for all your pies. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.